Hi everyone, welcome to another video. In today's lesson, we will be going through 3 questions from the 2024 end of the year prelim paper, specifically paper 1 from Hougang Secondary School under the G3 syllabus. We will be going through questions 15, 19 and 20. As per usual, I do not own any rights to this paper itself. If you want to give this a try, I'll link it in the description down below. So for the first question, it is about a simple distillation setup as seen here. The question is asking you what is the mixture Z as well as the inflow and outflow of water in the condenser marked by the letters X and Y. For simple distillation, what you need to know is that one of the components in the mixture needs to be a liquid. If none of the components of the mixture Z is a liquid, no filtrate will be captured in the conical flask as seen in the picture listed here. So therefore your only viable options for this question is either A or C. It is not possible for you to separate out a mixture of sand and salt via simple distillation. Next, let's talk about the flow of water for the condenser marked as X and Y. One thing you'll learn from practical experience is that the inflow of water needs to be against gravity. So your correct option here is the inflow of water is coming in from Y and coming out from X. The main reason why is that if your inflow of water is coming from X instead, the condenser will never truly be filled up. There will be pockets of air in the condenser itself. This will lead to a hazard where the condenser might crack due to the pockets of air and the heat that is being generated. So therefore, your only option here is option C. Just a recap, here is where the question lies in the G3 syllabus. It is under the subheader of exploring diversity of matter using separation techniques under the broader header of diversity. So here is a summary of what I have discussed. This is a simple distillation setup and the water needs to move against gravity for the condenser to fill up. Simple distillation only works if one of the components in the mixture is a liquid, which can be captured as the filtrate at the end of the condenser into the conical flask. So your only option here is C. Next, let's move on to this question, which is question number 19. It talks about a plane mirror that is being moved towards an object. You as the student need to figure out what is the distance between the object and the image in the mirror that has been moved. Before we go on any further, the question here lies under the subheader of ray model of light under the bigger header of models under the G3 syllabus. So for this question, it is a tricky one for students who are careless, myself included when I first tried this question. The plane mirror is being moved 6 centimeters towards the object. So some students might write down your answer as 24 centimeters. But you need to understand that the question is asking about the distance between the object and its image. One thing you'll note as seen in this picture is that the distance between the object and the mirror and the distance between the mirror and its image is equal. Therefore, the answer is not 24 but 24 times 2, which is 48. A summary of what I have discussed is listed here in red, so let's go through that. Again, I love this question because it is one that is tricky for careless students. The student might get it wrong if they are not paying attention. The plane mirror is moved to 24 centimeters away from the object, and the question is asking about the new distance between the object and its reflected image. So it is 24 plus 24, you'll get 48, which is option C. Last but not least, let's move on to the final question for today's video, which is question 20. This question shows a cross-section of a leaf with a collection of cells, as seen here, and you as the student need to figure out which letter constitutes a tissue and which shows an organ. Before we go on any further, we need to figure out where this question lies under the G3 syllabus. It lies under the subheader of Model of Cells, the basic unit of life, which is under the broader header of Models. Here is the explanation for this question. Tissues are defined as a group of identical cells with the same function, whereas organ is just a collection of tissues working together hand in hand. By this definition, you can figure out that the only organ listed here is W, because W is pointing towards three different tissues, X, Y, and Z. So your only correct option here is D. But before we get too excited, let's check whether Z is a tissue so that we can confirm our correct answer here is option D. Z, as mentioned earlier, is a tissue because it is a group of identical cells performing the same function. Even if you forget or do not know the functions of the tissues listed in this diagram, you can see that they are identical and you can assume that they carry out the same function. Therefore, your only option here is option D. That's it for today's video. I hope you understand the concepts that were tested in these three questions. I wish you all the best for your examination and I shall see you in the next video.